Hi, welcome to Conversations with Moxie. I am Deb Beroset of Moxie Creative Consulting, and I have with me today John DeMato, sipping on his Starbucks over there in New York City. John is a very well-known branded, let me get this right, what is it? Help me out, John. Branded lifestyle photographer.
Close enough. You did a good job.
What is the official, what is it really?
Branded lifestyle portrait photographer.
Okay. He is a branded lifestyle portrait photographer. He also is, and this is a really interesting combo platter that you represent, John. He is also a really brilliant strategist and implementer in terms of branded content. He helps his clients a lot with that, which I find to be a very appealing combination. He works with speakers, coaches, authors, thought leaders of all stripes, correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
And, P.S., he's a magical guy. So there's that, right?
Thanks for working that in, Deb. I appreciate that.
You bet. So John, here's the deal, okay? There are so many of us out in the world running around, entrepreneurs of all these different sorts. As you know, I work with the same kind of people you do, the change makers, the thought leaders, people looking to get themselves out there and, visibility, credibility, so they can have a bigger impact, right?
Yes.
Now, some people like myself, I will say freely, I am using selfies on my website right now, right? We're going to be changing that very soon. However, that's where some people are. Other people, they've got the whole, glamorous full day photo shoot with the 20 wardrobe changes, the hair person, the makeup person, tralala, and you. And then, you offer lots of things in between.
Right.
And so, but we want to talk about all of that today. All right.
Okay.
So let's just start out with the nervousness that I can speak to personally that comes up the minute that we talk about having our pictures taken. And then I want you to weave into that in your magical way why we should care about our images online. I mean, other than just sheer vanity, like,
right.
What's the point? So can you riff a little about that?
Sure. You want me to start with the mindset piece, or do you want me to talk about the purpose of this thing overall?
Well, let's talk purpose, set a context.
Okay. So the main reason why it's important to invest in branded lifestyle portraits and have that image content portfolio is because it's important for speakers and authors and thought leaders of all stripes, as you said before, to have these kind of images because they are putting out content that helps create visibility for themselves in order to attract more people into their audience. And the importance of these images is that they visually punctuate the stories that they're sharing, which also is illustrating their expertise. So when you have your expertise out there and you're presenting it with a magazine quality image, you're putting out this level of value and showing yourself off as the authority that you are. So the images and the stories really work in concert. It's not just about having great photos. We were talking on the phone yesterday, and we were talking about value and vanity and all of these types of things. And it's important to have images where you do look good and you feel confident. That is absolutely important. But that's the foundational piece. That is the prerequisite. That is not the end all be all. What's really important is that these images convey a sense of the person's personality. It also conveys a sense of what they do for a living. It breaks the fourth wall down and gives their audience a glimpse into how they work, why things are important to them, who they serve, why they serve those people. And it's all part of the pie. Now, with respect to mindset, 95% of the people that I work with can't stand being in front of the camera, despite all of the important stuff that I just mentioned. So what I have to do is go to work on them with respect to their mental their mindset regarding images, because most people can't stand being in front of the camera. So there's a lot of work with helping them feel comfortable dropping their guard in front of the camera, being comfortable and confident, and allowing themselves to be in the moment and not be in their head. So it's a mixture of a bunch of different things. And it doesn't just start when they're in front of the camera, by the way. It actually starts the moment that I start talking to these people on the phone, when they call me to set up a consultation call, because I'm gauging, where their head's at, how important this is to them, and how much resistance they're going to give me in terms of their energy and their personality in front of the camera. I need to know this stuff going in, because I don't want to be blindsided, because then it takes twice as long to get someone comfortable than rather than working on it from the whole process from the beginning all the way to the point that when we're shooting.
Got it. Now, how can you tell some of that in a phone conversation?
They'll usually say something like, I'm not photogenic.
Okay.
And then that drives, and then that's when I have to, pour on the tough love and tell them to cut the crap and remind them of something that's very important. What the people that I work with and what they do, they are serving other people in order to get them past whatever hurdles there are in their life. And in whatever this thought leader's specialty is, that's what they do. And they attract people who need them to get past the thing that they do, right?
Right.
But what happens if you never, ever put yourself out there? What happens if you just sit in the back and you allow yourself to be nervous and to allow the fear to overcome you and prevent you from doing the things that you need to do to get yourself out there so that people can find you and you can do the thing that you do best? So I have to constantly remind people of that, because I had to have myself reminded of that.
I mean, we all do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean you had to be reminded of that? Tell us about that.
Well, for about the first 25, 30 years of my life, I avoided cameras. I hated pictures. I was overweight. I was very insecure. I had a lot of image issues with myself. And once I became a business owner after I quit my job in television production and I started working as a photographer, I would avoid cameras still. I would not be in any pictures. I didn't want anything taken of me. And it took a lot of people within my circle to remind me the importance of being the face of your brand. You are, even as a photographer, that still is something that I have to be cognizant of too. And I had to get over it. And now it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Now I just, now it's like I make it into something fun and just have a good time with it.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Diane Reed here saying, oh my God, I love this guy. He totally gets it. All right. So yeah. All right. So you're speaking our language here. I mean, you got my attention. Look, I mean, there's also the thing that comes up, right? And I'm talking, for myself right now, real stuff.
Sure.
I think, well, great. It'd be great to have my picture. It would be great if I could lose those 10 pounds before my photo shoot.
You gotta stop right there. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This
is a tough love, right?
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is that what's going to happen if you lose that 10 pounds and you're going to want to lose another 10 pounds? What's going to happen with your face? Oh, I want to lose these wrinkles. Oh, I want to change my outfits. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Crap. No one cares. No one cares. What people care about that follow you is the way that you inspire them to be better than they were yesterday. That's what they care about. They don't give a shit about what you look like.
Okay.
You care about what you look like.
Yeah.
And granted, we would work around those what I like to call head garbage that you have about your appearance, and we would flatter you in a way that allows you to feel comfortable with yourself. But at the end of the day, the photos have to be shot, period.
Right. Well, what I get just from looking through the portfolio on your site, which is conveniently called johndemato.com, right?
Very convenient, yes.
Yeah. So is that personality shines through. I look at those photographs And, there were some people there that I wanted to click on the stuff and see who they were just because I liked the vibe I got from the images.
Right.
So that's clearly a big part. And we still want to look good.
Yes.
So go ahead.
I was going to say that it's important that you picked up on the expression piece, because that is one of the major pieces to people's image content portfolios. Because as I mentioned before, the whole purpose of these portraits is that they visually punctuate the stories that they're sharing with their audience, right?
Yeah, right.
So when you have a portfolio, if it's all smiles, big over-the-top laughs, and like serious, I'm a badass kind of face type thing, that's black and white. And that's not us being human beings. Human beings live in shades of gray. So those shades of gray have to be expressed through the expressions that we capture through the portraits. And it's not just the expressions, but it's the body language, it's the composition of the image, it's the lighting, it's a combination of all of these elements that help create this mood in the image. And then I sometimes refer to the portfolio that I give my clients as a mood library, because it's giving them photos where they're happy, where they're pensive, where they look like they're going to rant or be pissed off, or they're excited. And all of these different things are important to capture, because then they have the arsenal of images to visually punctuate every single type of story that they want to share.
Interesting. Now, I love that whole idea of capturing moods. Now, give me an example, since you're also a content strategist guy. What would be an example of where, like, why would I want a picture of myself where I look like I'm about to take off on a rant or something kind of serious and intense?
There's one of my clients. His name is Ted Rubin. He's a speaker and an author. And Ted does a lot of rants and a lot of like angry posts trying to bring awareness to certain things. And I just shot another session with him back in May, and I basically would yell out to him while he was on his phone and we were getting photos of him. I would ask him to look pissed off, and he would throw your hands up in the air, raise your eyebrows, do this, and I would throw him off guard. So it'd be very quick, because it doesn't feel stale. It doesn't feel unnatural when you try to get it very quickly. And then I would just pop those off. And then, the next week he used that photo to, I think he used one where he had his hands up in the air, where he talked about how retailers kept him on an email list when he unsubscribed. And it's like, unsubscribe means unsubscribe, and his hands up in the air. And I'm like, that's exactly why we took that picture.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I love that. It occurs to me as you're talking that if, having that arsenal of photos, images, moods, right? If I have that whole range, some of those images are actually going to inspire content ideas I might not have already had.
You can absolutely go the other way around with the content creation cycle. And quite frankly, that has happened for me many, many times. I'll be working on my content calendar for the next month or so, and an idea will just pop into my head based on the fact that I'll go through my library of images of my clients and the ones that I have of myself. And the next thing you know, idea just pops, and then you write the idea out.
Yeah.
And the thing, and I was just going to say, sorry, Deb, but the really important thing about all of this is that most people have no idea about any of the stuff that we're talking about, because it's not something that's very popular out there right now. Most of the photography that you see out there is very cosmetics based. It's very aesthetics based, and it's beautiful work, but it's not quite hitting the nail on the head for entrepreneurs. And that's the thing that I'm trying to advocate for, is this style of photography, because quite frankly, it just has more substance to it. It has more depth, and it creates much more of a connection with my clients' audiences. So
and I can see why. I mean, look, my first career 1.0 was as a journalist, and that was my training. I'm all about story in everything I do. Humans love stories, whether it's verbal or visual, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what had your work resonate with me so much and really want to talk to you. Now, I also think it's interesting that you have this whole background in television and producing.
Yes.
Is there some relationship, do you think, between that earlier piece of your career and the way you approach your work now?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of what I learned working as a field producer on a talk show is completely immersed within my methodology, my approach, and just starting from the shooting end of it, just the way that I capture certain emotion and certain types of angles and framing and composition. A lot of my style comes from the way that I shot video for almost 18 years. And then with respect to the mindset piece, I was dealing with a lot of emotional situations and doing a lot of interviews with people and trying to crack their exterior. And we're talking a very, very, very wide range of personalities. So that's why now when I direct people in front of the camera, it's really, I can take a lot of different types of personalities because of that immense amount of exposure that I had for all of those years. And yeah, it was definitely a very, very important learning experience for me, and it helped develop my portrait style.
Yeah.
Oh, I was also going to say,
yeah,
with respect to the content piece,
yes,
one of the things that I stress to people is that I approach my content creation like a television producer. I approach it from the perspective of trying to create multiple types of formats. I work off of formats when I write my stuff. I don't just sit around and reinvent the wheel every single month to try to come up with new stuff. It's not the way that I work. I work with what I refer to as content buckets. And that's how I organize my thoughts. Because if you don't have a framework with which to work with, your ideas are all over the place. And the next thing you know, you're not going to post a damn thing because you're just going to be too confused and too overwhelmed. And you're not going to really know how to funnel and channel the ideas in a way that's really going to deeply resonate with your audience. Yeah. So by taking that approach as a television producer and really coming up with the formats and really trying to beat ideas to death in terms of coming at it from different angles and different approaches and changing the phrasing and birthing ideas from another idea that had nothing to do with each other, but just writing a sentence and having that awareness of seeing that happen and being able to then capitalize on that. So TV has been a huge influence on me.
Yeah. So I love how strategic this all is. Like there's a method to the magic, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So can you give us an example when you say, you think in terms of these formats and content buckets? Can you, paint us a picture for those of us for whom that's like an interesting concept, but not quite sure what that means?
Sure. Basically, what my goal is to create what I like to call idea nuggets. Those little ideas, those little insights, those little thoughts you get during a conversation with someone, or just walking down the street and a thought hits you. That's what I refer to as an idea nugget. And basically, yeah, it is awesome when it happens.
Yeah.
But that's the spontaneous stuff. But then there is the other time when I sit down and I'm dedicating time to brainstorm, but it's a controlled, organized brainstorm. It's not just let me just free write to my heart's content and hope that something great happens. No. Then that's where these content buckets come into play. And what they essentially are is the way that I've broken it down is into 9 different types of content buckets that essentially organize different types of moments that happen in your life. For example, one of them would be sharing your wins, defining what your wins are. Another one would be what types of objects deeply resonate with you. And another one would be, let's see, which of the 9 that I usually go to? Off the top of my head, I am drawing a blank.
That's okay. No, but that gives us an idea. Like I'm intrigued by what kinds of objects, what did you say, resonate with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine that means, is there something like in my office, my work environment that sort of like, I can't help but notice the Viking horns behind you on the shelf, right? Right?
Yeah.
So the journalist in me picks out little things like that, right? Although Viking horns kind of stand out to anybody. They're not run of the mill in everybody's office. Mine are somewhere else right now. But
yeah.
So would that be an example for you?
Well, the point, I mean, the answer is I can definitely write about this. This actually comes from the Maury show that I worked on. It was a prop that Maury wore for an episode, and I stole it before they threw it out. So
good choice.
Right. But I can completely write about that within the context of my former job and all of that stuff. But what would be more appropriate for me would be the stuff that's off camera over here, which are my cameras. And I could talk about how important they are to me, or I could talk about this laptop that we're working on right now, the fact that I damaged it and I was emotional for a week until they fixed it. And now that it's back, I'm very happy that she's home in her home. Yeah.
Baby's back.
Exactly. But the thing about the objects is that you want to be able to find things that, like, let's say it's a pen that was given to you, it's a family heirloom, or a piece of jewelry that was handed down, or there's some kind of I'm just looking around in here. There's a picture frame that you got from a mentor after you hired or booked your first client. Things that are just around the house that you can actually share the story, the backstory, and then create a lesson that will resonate with your followers based on that particular thing. That's really
great.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about. It's not about creating the entire story the moment that you think about it. That is a completely different process, and that's something that I talk to my clients about, because the moment that you sit down and you get an idea, it's like, oh, now I have to fully develop the story, and then the next step is to find an image that will visually punctuate that story. It's like, no, we just want to start one piece at a time, make the process palatable for people, not overwhelm them at the beginning, and then they don't end up doing anything, because that's what happens. People get a little crazy, They're like, I want to sit at my lap. I want to sit at the phone right now. I'm going to write something. I have to post it. And then they get the caption anxiety. They start freaking out. They have no idea. Put the damn thing away. Then they purposely keep themselves busy so they don't have to write anything for 6 hours. And then by the end of the night, they're like, the hell with it. We'll do it tomorrow. And the cycle continues. It continues. It continues. Yeah. So it's all about like nurturing these little idea nuggets, spending time just on that, getting those things going. Then when it's time to actually create the content for social, you now have a bank of ideas that are listed on your phone, or if you have a Moleskine or whatever, like a notebook of some sort, however you keep your ideas, you then go to all those ideas, and all of a sudden you got a lot of stuff to play with.
I love this. I am eating this up with a spoon. Okay, this is great. So, all right, we'll probably come back to this, but let's now kind of walk through, the process. So let's say, all right, I've booked my photo shoot. You're going to be doing one for me. This is not just made up, right? Which I'm very excited about, and also a little nervous about. Like, but listen, here's the thing, John. I represent all the people who are thinking about doing a photo shoot. They're going to do a photo shoot, and this is the kind of crap that gets in the way, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to be fairly transparent and kind of put my mind down loudspeaker and let you respond so everybody else can benefit. And it'll also make my photo shoot all the better because you'll already have whipped me into shape. Okay. So one of the things is, all right, preparing for this photo shoot. I mean, what do you tell people about things like what to wear, right? And I'm not just talking about what's flattering, but in a larger context, like the personality, the brand, just, what do you say to people about stuff like that?
Well, we start from a much higher level looking down before we get into close. The first thing that I ask you, well, first of all, on the pre-session strategy call, or as I like to call it, the let's figure shit out first call.
I like that.
Yeah. I want to know who you are, who you serve, why you do what you do. I want to know what you're promoting. I want to know where you are on social. I want to know if you're speaking, if you're writing a book. I need to know all of this other groundwork first. Then the next step is, how do you present yourself to your clients when you're on stage, when you're doing this kind of stuff, when you're doing one-on-one consultations, and then we work from there. Then we get into the colors. We get into the types of colors that would be more flattering or that represent your brand. The point is that it's not just a simple cut and dry answer. It's a process to get to the point to figure out not only what you're going to wear, but what kind of outfit you're going to wear, but what kind of jewelry you're going to have, what locations we're going to be shooting in, what types of shots we're going to be getting. And again, going back to the mood library part of this conversation, what types of expressions are most flattering to your personality, because some of that over-the-top shit might not work for you. It might not work for you at all. So we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't waste our time with that. But the whole point of the pre-session call is to lay everything out, get a full 500-foot view from above looking down and getting that assessment of where you are with your business.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And now, speaking for all the women of a certain age, meaning women who are in their full prime, right? That's what I mean. That. That's what I mean. That's the truth. So, any special recommendations? Because, we want to look dewy. I don't want to look 30. I just want to look great for where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
So anything in general, because, there's a lot of us out there, here's the deal. There's a lot of women in particular of a certain age who have basically said, okay, enough's enough. It's time for me to get myself out there.
That's right. That right there is the most important part, because that's the belief and the commitment piece. If you don't believe in yourself, believe in the importance, believe in your value to the people who follow you, and you're not committed to the process of actually following through and being actionable in order to get your ass out there, to get these people in your audience and following you and booking you to solve their problems, right, then we're not going to be able to do this right. It's not going to work. Right. Because then it's just going to be a bunch of glamour shots, and that's a bunch of crap, and it's just not going to work. Right. So belief and commitment. And then the second piece is, you know what? You want to feel that way. I mean, part of it is wardrobe. Part of it is surrounding yourself with a good team of people while we're shooting. So, the makeup artist helping you feel comfortable, me helping you feel comfortable and confident, all of that stuff matters. And also the other thing is treating the entire process as a special day for you. It's not just, I'm going to go for 3 hours. I'm going to go, try to suspend disbelief and not be upset and anxious about being in front of the camera. It's like, treat this thing like it's fun. This is like, as I tell a lot of my clients, a lot of them treat this thing like it's a friggin' funeral. Yeah. Like they're going to a funeral. Yeah. And what I have to remind them is that this is not a funeral. No one's dying. This is a celebration. The fact that you need these photos, that you're inspired to get these photos, to get out there and do more work and help people, and that you're at a place in your business where you need this kind of visibility, these kinds of images to increase your visibility. Yeah. That's a win.
It is.
And then you need to start acting like it and own it. You have to own your expertise, own your value, own this day, and own the damn photos, and get out there and get to work.
Okay, I'm kind of wanting to go do our photo shoot right now, but okay, I'll wait. So no, that's really great. That's really great. Now, one of the things that I read that I found, is probably a quintessential John sort of statement is something about you die a little on the inside every time you see a fake smile. So now I'm all self-conscious about my smile. But anyway, talk to us about that.
Fake smiles suck. All of them. And not only do they suck, but they hurt your brand. Because when they look fake, it looks like you're putting on a show. It looks like you're staging yourself. And guess what? Subconsciously, when someone that's following you sees you fake smile, a little bit of that trust factor goes away, because it's like, well, if they're clearly fake smiling, what the hell else are they hiding? It's not just a matter of the aesthetics of a fake smile. It's the psychological piece that goes behind it when someone sees someone fake smiling, especially when they're placing them on a certain level, because they are the solution. They have the solutions to their challenges.
Oh, that's really interesting. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just kind of scanning the database here. I mean, isn't it the case? Haven't I read about, humans are able to look at an image and tell whether it's a genuine out of emotion smile versus a created smile, a fake smile?
Right. Well, it's more about that people get an impression of who you are as a person within 7 seconds of looking at your photo. And that's why headshots are so important. Why having those really solid profile pictures are really important, because that's what's happening. People are forming opinions of you immediately. So you have to really capture their attention with something that truly represents powerful and purposeful, aspects of your personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about when people come to you? Maybe this doesn't happen. And what if they're not clear about what those aspects of their personality and brand are distinct?
Well, I have worked with several people that have not had a very clear brand plan, if you will, so to speak.
Right.
They're kind of floating around trying to figure things out. And it's not as problematic for me as you would think, because at the base of what this branded lifestyle portrait session provides you in the portfolio of images is very ground level, very foundational types of images that you can leverage in a variety of ways. And it's stuff that would translate to different types of usage in terms of social or whatever. So it's more personality driven. And the other thing is when I'm working with people who are still trying to figure out their brand, and I want to get those lifestyle portraits of them, the fact is that they're still working on their computer, they're still working on their phone, they're still working on their tablet, they still do one-on-one consultations. The point is I'm giving them those boilerplate type images that they can leverage over and over and over again. What would change is once they actually get clear on their brand and they get clear on all of those things, they'll be able to create the stories that are consistent with their brand, and then leverage those photos that we already took to visually punctuate them. So it wouldn't be like, oh, I just changed my whole brand and now it's like, well, I mean, you could still leverage these photos. It's still totally usable. And in fact, that has happened on about 2 or 3 occasions with my clients in the past.
Yeah, I can totally see that. That makes sense to me. That's great.
Right.
So what about, how do you deal with people? How do I deal with people? How do you deal with people? No, I mean, okay, so we're in the photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
You're snapping, you're talking, the beauty team, the little ensemble is over here ready with brushes and stuff. But meanwhile, you got to deal with the actual subject. How do you get people to relax, and you said out of their head?
It depends on the person, but 9 times out of 10, I just talk a lot of crap. I just talk a lot of shit. I leverage the homegrown, natural, innate gift of being a New York Italian kid, and I just don't shut up. A lot of it, however, is technical stuff. It's a lot of look down, look to the left, look over here. Let's work on your emotion. Let's get you excited. Let's pretend like you're having a good time. Let's do this. So I essentially overwhelm people with words.
Yeah.
Purposefully, because what it does is it forces them to have to listen to me, and they don't have time to go back into their head. So yeah. I just overpower people's anxiety by talking a lot of shit. And then, of course, I just try to make people laugh too. And it's not just about capturing the laughs. It's about getting them loose. And then I can then follow up with something a little bit more deeper, a little bit more sensitive, because the muscles are loose. Their eyes are smiling. The cheeks are moving around. And then I can bring them back down to earth and get something really juicy that's pensive and thought-provoking. So it's a dance, and it's never prescribed. It's just freestyle, because I have no idea how I can get that sense of how a person's going to feel beforehand, as we discussed earlier. Yeah. But you still never know until the moment happens, because if you're on the phone with someone and you're talking, that's great. You get that impression. But once you're in a co-working space, so you're on the street and there's people walking by, people can get a lot weirder than they would lead you to believe that they would. So then you really, really, really have to be prepared for that and allow yourself the space to kind of just talk to them and get them out of that place.
Is there a role for like a glass of Pinot Grigio in this scenario? Something like that?
Unless if you want to look sloshy and drunk in your shots, no, there isn't. Okay. But when we review the photos afterwards, drink all you want. Just don't spill it on my computer. That's all I ask.
Don't spill it on your baby. I get it. Okay. So how do you assess the shots after the shoot, right? Like, how do you know what's the standout shots?
Well, what ends up happening is one of two things. Either A, we're jumping right in the hot seat the moment after we're done shooting and looking, or the second option is the next day we'll do a video thing like this, and I'll share my screen and we'll go one by one. But basically what we're looking to do is find the images that really represent their personality and give them a lot of flexibility with respect to how to leverage the photo. Like we look at every single picture, by the way. Wow. The crappy, like out of focus ones, I try to delete as fast as I can. But the point being is that I look at every photo and we comment on every single photo. And one of the things that I always ask pretty much for every photo is, can you use this photo? How do you think you can use this photo? Because I'll share my stuff, but I want to hear what they have to say as well. Is this good for a profile picture? Will you use this for a Facebook ad? Is this going to be for your book cover? Are you going to do you're going to use this to promote your webinar? Blah, 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 blah. All of these different things, come into play as we look at these pictures. And then what we end up doing is we'll take a group of shots that are kind of similar in theme, and then we kind of parse it down from there, because I don't want to give people the same types of shots over and over. That's actually one of the main reasons why I created this niche in terms of the way that I shoot the images, where I think in terms of wide shots, medium shots, and close-ups, because there have been a lot of people that I've had to work with and kind of clean up the messes of other photographers, because basically they'll give them a portfolio of 200, 300 photos, and it's basically all the same damn thing. It's the same frame, it's the same background, it's the same outfit, it's the same shot, and it's like, what the hell are we supposed to do with this? Yeah. Out of these 300 photos, what you're really getting is like 15, barely. So what I like to do is I'm very cognizant of that, and I want to create as much diversity and versatility in these images as possible. Even if it's the same outfit, maybe take that jacket off and now it looks a little different. Or we'll get that wide shot of you working on the computer, but then get the close up of the key of the hands on the keys like this from this side and from this side and high, and just all different types of variety. And when we're looking through the photos, we are making sure that as we go along, it feels different all the way through, and it feels like you're getting a wide variety of different types of shots.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like at the end it'll appear as if you were following your subject around for 2 weeks or something, and it was all out of one photo shoot.
Yeah, it's because remember, especially when we're talking about leveraging these for social media, for some of my other priced packages where I'm handing them a bundle of images, you don't want to bore the hell out of your audience with the same type of shot over and over and over and over again. And you also want to give yourself the ability to have different types of images that are not just portraits. Like we were talking about before with the objects that resonate with you most.
Right.
I have my clients bring in coffee cups. I have them bring in pens and all the jewelry and all the different types of things, books that inspire them. Their book, we flip the pages and shoot different chapters and different passages and all of these things, because you don't want the same crap over and over again. It's boring, and it's what has been done, and it's really something that I'm an advocate for change in that respect.
Yeah, I love how well thought through this is. So let's talk a little bit about the content piece. Can you talk to me a little bit more about this idea nugget business and what you've done with that?
Okay, so you're talking about the idea nugget incubator, which is my one-on-one program.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my one-on-one program that I created I actually just created it over the past month, and it came from a situation with one of my clients. I was on Instagram, I don't know, like a month and a half ago, and I was scrolling through my feed, and I saw one of my clients, and she posted a stock photo, and I was not happy. I check on my clients all the time. I see what they're posting all the time, whether or not they know I'm doing that. If I comment or not.
You.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm watching. Yeah.
Okay.
And I saw that, and I asked her, what's going on with that? And she's like, well, I hired a social media person to help me. I was struggling keeping up with the content piece and whatever. And I'm like, that's totally fine to hire help. I mean, that's not a big deal at all. Just give her the damn photos that you just bought, though. Come on. What are we doing?
What the heck? Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from that, what I realized was, and then I had another conversation with one of my Gold Star clients, and he talked to me about the fact that most people, you give them 2 to 3 pictures and they're happy and they think that's all they need. Between that conversation and I was like, but I give them hundreds of photos, and he's like, yeah, they don't care. It's really about the 2 to 3 pictures. They don't even think about it, and that's it. So between that conversation and my client with the stock photos, I thought to myself that there is a clear and present missing piece here that I can fill, because I've spent the past year going from barely posting a damn thing at all, no blogs, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, maybe posting 2 to 3 times a week on social, to posting every single day on social, at least once, and repurposing old stuff, in addition to writing 3 blogs a week.
Wow.
So over this past year, I've basically educated myself on how to do all of this stuff, and again, tap into the television producer angle within myself to create this insight, to create this content that I can consistently write about. And that's when I realized that I needed to share it with people. I needed to get it out there. I needed other people to see this, because it's clearly something that people struggle with. And that's where the idea nugget incubator came from.
That's cool. So what little tips can you give folks here about how to go about planning, what you're putting out there? Look, that's your content posting schedule is the kind of schedule that a lot of people aspire to, and they just find it totally overwhelming. 3 blog posts a week, social posts every day, right? Reposting.
Yeah.
How do you, what can you give us here today that can help people get from here to there?
Well, we touched on it earlier. The first piece is, again, it's the belief and commitment piece. It's that stuff needs to be there. You need to be committed to doing something like that. It is a pain in the ass. I'm going to be honest with you. It's hard. But having said that, I'm also completely covered for 3 months with my content. So, I'm all in. And the reason why I'm all in is because I know how important it is. Now, with respect to how to get to that point, it starts with baby steps. It starts with the idea capturing piece. It comes with the whole understanding that throughout your day, you need to build that, rewire your awareness so that you're more cognizant of the fact that there are things that go in and out of your mind all day where they can really be repurposed into great stories that will teach lessons to your audience. Okay, so first things first, figure out a place that you want to capture all these ideas. Now, for me, I capture them in my phone. I've done the Post-it note. I've done the walk around with a notebook. I've done the write it on a damn napkin at the bar, whatever.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is that once I streamlined my process in terms of how to acquire the ideas and how to write them down, it started to come a lot easier. So the first step is figure out where you want to do it. The second step is...
I use my phone too, by the way.
Yeah. I have something called Notebooks app, and it's a step above the regular reminder app in your phone. And the reason why I like it is because I can sort these ideas in a bunch of different ways that I found to be very useful. And then I can create books and kind of, put the idea nuggets in books. And it's like, and I get really nerdy about that, about organization and that type of stuff.
Geek out all you want. We love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. And the funny part about that is once you have that infrastructure in place, the ideas will come better because you'll be more prepared for them. So I would start there.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a rare moment of remembering a quote that actually fits the situation. Ready? Louis Pasteur, chance favors the prepared mind.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting yourself prepared to for success, essentially.
That's really great. And
That's
now just so that the rest of us have something to aspire to, when you say you have 3 months of content, what does that look like? What does that mean? That
means 30. Well, what is today? August 7. Actually, I'll be in November. Yeah. That means like 40 blogs, more or less, written and scheduled and keyworded and images, and then social posts, new ones every single day.
Wow. Okay. That's very cool. That's very cool. And do you have somebody helping you with that stuff?
Nope. I got me, myself, and I.
Wow. Okay. So I think it's fair to say that you've developed a certain degree of mastery with this, right?
The most important piece about it is developing voice. And that is one of the important developments that happen as you practice and as you write. And listen, there are posts that I write to this day where sometimes I'll look at it and it's like, but what I realize is that just because I have that bias towards it, someone else can be completely inspired by it. So don't be afraid to put that out there. And so it's voice. And the other thing about writing that much, there's a ton of intangible benefits that you get when you write that much. It's not just about pumping all this crap out there. It's not. What you're doing is you're really forcing yourself to step up your game in terms of the insight that you actually have and develop your thought leadership.
Yeah.
You're developing the insights that you're sharing with people because you're forcing yourself to do it. So when you have, for example, a conversation like this, I don't run out of things to say because guess what? I've written about every single thing that I've told you at least once.
Mm-hmm.
and most likely twice,
Mm-hmm.
and from different angles. And that intangible benefit alone will benefit your business as a whole, regardless of the engagement, regardless of the bookings you get. It's that foundational piece that you're getting on top of sharing your expertise, because you're not only sharing it, but you're developing it on the spot. And then
Exactly.
you have it forever. So that's really a huge piece to this, that I think that people need to understand the real importance of content. It's not just to put shit out there. It's to develop your own expertise.
Yeah, boy, God, amen to that. Seriously. I mean, that's one of the things that I work with people on is, you don't get to be a thought leader. You have to have some thoughts. And they want to be right.
Yes.
And they want to be like pretty good ideas, and they want to be your distinct take on whatever it is. They don't have to be the first time anybody ever expressed it in the history of humanity, but
yeah,
like what you've been sharing with us today, John, is all very distinctly John perspective on the topic. And it's like you said, it shines through because you've done the work of figuring out what you think about things. And I'm sure it's true for you. I know it's true for me that over time, that evolves. Like you'll
yes.
write about something and a year later, you're going to have another cut at it that's deeper and richer, right?
That's exactly what happened to me, by the way. So you're preaching to the choir on that one. Yeah. Good.
That's cool. So the thing I also want to ask you about, John, is, look, you had a really, you had the kind of career in television that a lot of people would have given an appendage for. And yet there came a time when you said, okay, I'm going to stop doing this and I'm going to do that. I mean, can you speak to a little about, because that's true of a lot of people that we both work with, right?
Yes.
Can you speak to what that was about and what had you do it?
Well, it'll be 4 years next week that I quit my job and started my own business. And the motivation really started years prior, where I became, it's not that I'm not grateful for the experience, because I totally am, and I've met so many amazing people throughout that process. But what I found was really problematic for me was that I was creatively stifled. I was doing the same kind of thing over and over again, and that started to build a lot of resentment, and it confused me. It positioned me in a place where I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. And then my mom died. And that kind of threw me for a loop, in that, I'm watching her throughout that whole couple-month-long process with cancer. And I just thought to myself, if I was in her position right now, the list of regrets that I would have would be so long, I would need another room to put them in. And that got me to thinking that this is not where I want to be or what I want to do. And a lot of what my upbringing was about stability, about a paycheck, about health insurance, about playing it safe, about doing the right smart kind of move, whatever the hell that means, the right move, And when she was gone, that kind of blew up, and I'm like, the hell with this. This is not the life I want to live. This is not how I want to show up in the world. So I quit. I just quit. I had no plan. I was freaking out. I was panic attacks, the whole 9-yard entrepreneurial, gauntlet of fun.
I'm familiar.
And yeah, and you know what? Every day, there's always things that come up, and there's challenges that we face every single day. But the fact of the matter is that I chose this life because this life gives me the opportunity to help those people who help other people. And what I realized was, when I was working in television, that was not the goal, and that's fine. that's totally okay. It just wasn't for me anymore. So for me, I want to work with people that kick ass and do amazing things and change people's lives. And I want to be the conduit to that process for them. I want to collaborate in their success because there's just a lot more joy with that. And the fact of the matter is that shooting pictures is about the best thing that I could do for myself. I love it unconditionally. And to be an artist and not to be an artist, to monetize the art in a way that I'm not compromising my integrity is something that I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that ability. So that's where we are.
It's a big accomplishment. And look, all kidding aside, well, first of all, thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
I really get it. It's moving. I had a similar, actually, it wasn't about my mother, who incidentally earlier commented, she's watching, and she says she's running late to run errands because she was so into this conversation.
I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. Yeah. So, but look, there comes a time for many of us, whatever the impetus for that moment is, where we just say, okay, I've got a finite amount of time. I don't know how much, but we all know it's finite. And what am I going to do? And, luckily for us, you chose to go the route you went. And I'm on a parallel path to you. I haven't been doing it as long as you. But what I want to say is, this conversation has me so inspired. And as somebody who's going to be on the other side of your lens, I just want you to know it's inspired complete and total trust and confidence in we're going to do great stuff because you're going to make sure it happens.
We're not going to stop until that happens. So you don't have a choice.
Okay. I love that. I love that tough love. No, that's awesome. I love your badass, commitment, this shall be. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's an awesome way to do business. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So look, I so appreciate you being on this with me today. You're a guy who's been quoted as an expert in Forbes and all these big podcasts. And today you're on Conversations with Moxie, which is gathering steam by the minute. But just really appreciate your sharing all your expertise with our viewers. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. So tell us where to go to find out more about you.
You can go to my website, www.johndemato.com. And you could also go to my Instagram, which my handle is DeMato Photo. And those are, no, I'm not a Viking. No, I'm not a Viking. So Instagram, DeMato Photo. That threw me off. I actually saw that one flip on the screen.
Yeah, well, it is a live conversation after all, right?
That was the first time I've ever been asked that, so that's nice.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
That's right.
Thanks for having your first time be with us, John.
Exactly. Thank you. And I appreciate that moment to happen here, so that's great.
That's cool. All right. Well, we'll be talking soon, and thanks for being on today.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.